and I'm the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Government Operations. Today is June 26th, 2025, and it is exactly 2:03. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, modifying certain requirements of the open meeting law and relieving public bodies of certain requirements, including the requirement that public bodies conduct its meetings in a public place that is open and physically accessible to the public, the City Council will be conducting this hearing virtually via Zoom. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-TV and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, FiOS Channel 9, and FiOS Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.go@boston.gov and will be made a part of the record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of this hearing. Individuals will be called on in the order in which they signed up and will have 2 minutes to testify. If you wish to sign up for public testimony and have not done so, please email our central staff liaison, Megan, at MEAGAN as in Nancy, .CORUGEDO@boston.gov for the Zoom link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on docket 0969, an ordinance establishing a transgender, gender diverse, intersex, LGBTQIA2S+ Oversight Commission. This matter was sponsored by Councilors Julia Mejia, Henry Santana, and Liz Burden, and referred to the committee on April 30th, 2025. Today, I am joined by my colleagues in order of arrival: Councilor Flynn, Councilor Louis-Jean, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Santana, and Councilor Burden. Now I will go to opening remarks of the lead sponsors, starting with Councilor Mejia, Santana, and then Councilor Burden. Councilor Mejia, you have the Zoom.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all to my colleagues for showing up, and to the administration, and to the over 40 plus LGBTQIA2S residents, activists, legal experts, and business owners who joined us on this journey. Several months ago, we were contacted by constituents and also some of our staffers who had asked us to declare Boston a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA2S+ people, and to create legislation that backed it up. Together, we drafted an ordinance to establish Boston's first Oversight Commission. This ordinance was created by the community, for the community, with the goal of ensuring accountability, transparency, and representation across city government. I want to thank everyone who helped us bring it to this moment. We're ready to move from intention to action. And with that, I'm looking forward to hearing from the administration, our panelists, and my colleagues, and above all, those who are living the realities and or doing the work, because they are the reasons why we exist. And I want to be really clear while I still have the mic, is that I'm not going to go through the entire timeline, but I want to thank Councilor Santana and Braden and their team for working alongside our office. And then I also want to acknowledge that the coalition worked in partnership with the administration, and we also met with the chair like 2 or 3, 2 months ago or so, just to make sure that we were all rowing in the same direction, y'all. And here we are today with the mandate to bring it home for the people that we serve. And I hope that in the true spirit of what real collaboration is supposed to be about, that we can get there. I was happy to see the chair sent me an email this morning with the counter proposal that the city has presented. And I know Maria Angeli, the chief, also reached out to me on Monday or Tuesday to share with me some other suggestions they have. So I really do appreciate you all taking the time to share your comments. While the timeline did not meet the moment in terms of where we are right now and the crunch that we're in, we're still going to move along, because in the spirit of getting this to the finish line, this is what it looks like. We have to work with what we have and make what we have work for the people that we serve. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. Councilor Santana.
Good afternoon, Chair and everyone. Thank you so much for convening us here today. I first just want to thank, again, the lead sponsor, Councilor Mejia, for getting us to this point, thank you for working in collaboration with my office and Councilor Braden's office, and most importantly, working with community and thank the 40 plus organizations. I think we're over 50 organizations probably who've been able to do this with this work together. So just very proud of this. And as many of you know, when we declared and passed a resolution on the Boston City Council to declare Boston a sanctuary city, this is the work that I was talking about, and Councilor Mejia and I and our offices had many conversations about this, and I'm just very proud of the work that we've been able to do together, not just during Pride Month, but looking forward to just the work that we need to do this every single month and all year round. So, want to thank the administration, Julianne, and your team for the amazing work that you all do, and just really want to looking forward to the conversation today and hearing thoughts how we can strengthen it and get us to a place where, again, we want to be a city that is for everyone, and that includes our LGBTQIA2S plus community. And I've been very proud to stand in partnership with this community to fight for real action and real policy that protects this community. So again, thank you to the lead sponsor, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Braden, and I'm looking forward to the conversation today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Santana. Councilor Braden.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Councillor Mejia, for your leadership, and Councillor Santana for all the work you've been doing in this space since you've been on the City Council. I also want to thank all the advocates. That's a very impressive group of folks who have been involved in this journey so far, and also the administration for working on this. I will not take any more time. I'd like to get into the weeds a little on this and get this move forward. I do appreciate Councillor Coletta Zapata for your leadership as the chair of Government Ops. You've been very busy, and thank you for taking the time to really make time to work on this particular ordinance. It's really important to our community, and we appreciate your leadership in this space as well. So thank you so much, and I'll not take any more time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burden. And we have been joined by members of the administration, and we'll go to them, but I'll just introduce them. Mary Angeli Solis Cervera, Chief of Equity in the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet. Julianne Lee, who we all know very well, Director of Mayor's Office of LGBTQIA2S plus Advancement. Kimberly Roten, I apologize if I said your name wrong, Director of Policy at MOLA, as well as Maya Getter, Senior Policy Advisor from the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet. The agenda for today is that we will start with the administration, who have prepared a presentation, and then we'll go to the advocates panel. We'll have questions to the administration. I would love for them to get into the differences that they have proposed from the original ordinance that was filed by my colleagues. And then we'll go into the advocate panel, and I'll list them once we get there. I always like to table set and let folks know exactly what we are reviewing. And so just very, very quickly, this is an ordinance establishing a commission to represent and address the needs of the LGBTQIA2S plus community with the hopes of promoting equity in city governance. It also establishes a commission, a quality of life study for our LGBTQIA2S plus residents. It seeks to define certain terms like city, transgender, gender diverse. It establishes this oversight commission with various stipulations, including the functions, duties and responsibilities, terms, eligibility, compensation. And then it also provides the authority for this commission to produce a comprehensive, voluntary, and confidential study on LGBTQIA2S plus residents' experiences. So we'll get into that. Councilor Mejia, I see your hand is up.
Yes, just for process so that everyone who's tuning in understands, and I just need some clarity around this. Are we going to be working off of the city councils, the work that we did with coalition, or are you guys going to be presenting what the mayor and MOLA has presented? Like, I just want to make sure that I just want to know what document we're going to be speaking on and what we're going to be addressing, just so that people who are tuning in understand what the dynamics are here, because, there was a counter proposal, and I want to make sure that if we're going to spend our time together, that we are spending our time with the work that the coalition produced, or are you going to be working with what the mayor and MOLA presented, just so that we know what you're going to be sharing your screen with or talking through, just so that I'm clear.
Sorry, I was on mute. So this is a hearing on the proposal that was filed by you all. And so from what I would like to do is have the administration, and I don't know what the presentation looks like. What I had asked for them to do is to at least give us a general overview of what some of the changes are from their proposal. I would love for for counselors to ask them their questions that they have on it, and then we will go to the advocates panel. And if various counselors who've done a lot of work, that they're and their staff want to elaborate after the administration about their proposal, we can do that. We have created a document that has a side-by-side comparison that I would like to share. And so I'm not sharing one or the other. I just want folks to understand and in full transparency what the council has filed, as well as what the mayor's MOLA's team has filed. And so that side-by-side comparison is something that after the advocates panel, I would like to go through, find common interests, and then and or any areas of non-negotiable, just so we have a better understanding, because I have heard from you and other co-sponsors that they would like this to be passed sooner rather than later. And so that's why I want to make sure that we are going through all of the various details that we've gotten, and I think have gotten in the last 24 hours that I'm still trying to analyze.
Yeah, so, and then the last thing, and then we can get into it, I just want to give everybody the heads up that for us, and speaking with the coalition, and just having a sense of responsibility to who we are here to fight for, is that we are willing to, while we understand the urgency, what folks are not interested in is watering down any of the work that they've put into it. So we don't mind now going through a different process. If it takes the time that it needs to get it to where the people want it to be, then we are willing, ready, and able to join you all on that journey. So I just want to relieve you of that timeline, because in speaking with the coalition this morning, they are more interested in making sure that we get this right than they are to do it fast in a hurry, just for the sake of a symbolic, passage. So I just want you to know that they are serious about what they want to do, and we want to provide that space for that work that back and forth that needs to happen when we're negotiating on what people want versus what we want versus what the administration wants. So we're here for it. So I just wanted to relieve you all of that stress, because the coalition is ready for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mejia. I appreciate that clarity. We'll go to the administration for the presentation that they have prepared. Whoever wants, I believe, Chief, you have the floor. Thank you so much for being here. And I do recognize that you have said that you have a 3 p.m. stop.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilor Mejia, and to the advocates who reached out to me right before this meeting, also to let us know that there is more space and room to process some of this in a more collaborative way. So I appreciate that. So I will not be rushing through my remarks, but I will be passing the mic to my colleague Julianne, who will be able to speak to where we are, what we're up to, and what we think is is a pathway forward that continues to respect the identity of the safety and identity of our colleagues internally and externally. So I'll get to that in just a second. Thank you so much to the council, advocates, and everybody who is in this call, who got us here. I'm gonna do 10 seconds of what the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet does, how it functions consistently, and how MOLA, the team that we call for short MOLA, plays a huge part in that function. Our mission is simple: is to improve the life outcomes with and for the communities that we're here to serve, depending on whatever the department are. Under this work is a theory of change that focuses on three things: providing internal services to other agencies so that other agencies, think water and sewer, the police department, Boston Public Health Commission, do things a little bit differently so that more residents receive their resources and services in a way that they haven't in the past. Second thing that we do is we provide our own targeted programming for the unique needs of our different communities. Last but definitely not least, in fact, it may be the most important, is we serve as a convener to build some coalitions amongst the different identities that we represent. And so since I started MOLA, well, the mayor started MOLA 3.5 years ago, we never could have thought that we'd be where we are now with a staff of, where are we now, 5+ interns, a staff that is of the community, represents different members of the community and their identities there. And last summer, we had a really important conversation about the future of this office, right? An office that is still a baby office, but has such a huge need, especially in a moment where our trans brothers and sisters, our gender non-binary brothers and sisters are under attack. And so we did a survey last summer that let us know that we needed to move away from some of the programming that we did as a launch office and more towards actual needs such as emergency services, housing needs, and legal support. Fast forward, in January, we launched something called the Partner Network, which you'll hear a lot more from Julianne about this, but it's a group of 100+ organizations, many of which are part of your coalition, Councilor Mejia, and I also work with Councilor Santana, to help us get at that, right? Like we don't want to do what we assume is best for community. We need to know what people are doing that is working, that's not working, and us really use our platform as a municipality to support the work. From this learning, we very quickly decided to reallocate some funding from other sources to ensure that we could provide and grant legal services supports now. So just a couple of weeks ago, we granted $125,000 to GLAD and other partners to ensure that they could provide the legal services needed in this moment that so needs it, because there are not other spaces in the city that are doing that. And so again, that targeted programming that's so essential, we are providing. And so one thing that I wanted to paint the picture here, in our cabinet, we have 9 departments, 7 boards, commissions, task force, etc. And MOLA has actually taken a very different approach that we have learned works. It's an approach that is less bureaucratic. It has less red tape because it's not necessarily like forced to be an open meeting law, and people feel safer to be a part of this conversation because it's not following a specific like commission, board, task force space. And so the reason we're bringing a different launch is we want the community to also be aware that the conversation and the strategy can happen without a sort of like formalized body. And so you'll hear from Julianne a little bit more about what that is. And my hope today is that we can get to something that continues to do the work in a way that everyone feels invited to the table. So with that, I'll pass it off to Julianne, who will take us into the details of what this looks like.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chief. I'm going to have my team share the slide deck, so you should see that popping up shortly. But good afternoon, councilors, residents joining from home. I'm Julianne. I use she, they pronouns. I'm honored to serve alongside an incredible team at the Mayor's Office of LGBTQ2I+ Advancement, or MOLA. We understand how vital and impactful it is to use any and every platform to uplift our LGBTQI2S+ community. So thank you so much, councilors, for the opportunity to be here today. Our mission at MOLA is to uplift and support our LGBTQIA2S+ Bostonians by removing systemic barriers, improving access to city services, and deeply rooted in community, driven by action. we advance inclusive policies, partnerships, resources to all of our community members, and so our community can and their families can thrive. Is our slide deck up? Oh, hold on.
Not yet.
Okay, I think Kimberly is probably trying to get back in. I think that they were kicked off, but I'm also happy to try and navigate this. Hold on one second.
While you're doing that, I just want to call out that we've been joined by City Councilor and Co-Chair Ben Weber. Thank you for joining us. Do you see the icon at the bottom of the screen? It should be the green share button.
Have you let Kimberly back in? Sorry, everyone.
I can also share for now, Julianne. I have it up.
Oh, thank you.
And Kimberly is in the waiting room. Oh, I think she's been elevated. Great.
They, them. Awesome. Oh, Kimberly's able to share it now. So our team of 5 works collaboratively to meet the growing community needs and ensure our LGBTQIA2S plus inclusion across city departments and services. So you can see right here in the circles is our full-time, and our rectangles is our incredible interns and fellows. We do also have another fellow, and we are respecting their wishes due to safety reasons to not be included on the slide, but we do have one more team member. At the heart of MOLA's mission is this belief: we are stronger together. And in direct response to community needs through the partner network and last year's reimagined community survey, we received over 300 responses that we launched back in January, which now the partner network has become one of the strongest community-driven municipality LGBTQ plus agency partnerships in the country. It's the MOLA Partner Network. This is a coalition of over 100 LGBTQIA2S plus affirming organizations, agencies, institution, people, many of whom are at home today joining in. This body is not theoretical. It's already shaping our office's priorities and work. It informs our funding priorities and decisions, from the $125,000 legal aid service grant that Chief mentioned, to our Beyond Pride Community Grant Fund that has served over 80,000 individuals, including those facing housing insecurity, unemployment, and isolation. It directly drives new community partnerships like Brewing Connections, bringing together LGBTQ plus elders, trans and non-binary youth in conversation and community. This is directly coming out of this incredible partner network. It is building collective power at a time where our community faces growing hostility nationally. The goal is simple but powerful: to coordinate, collaborate, collectively build a better Boston for our LGBTQIA2S plus communities, all of us. In a city as diverse as ours, no one organization can meet every need. We know this. The partner network creates an intentional space for our local leaders, service providers, organizations to connect, learn from each other, and build together. It's a living infrastructure of care centered in community wisdom, shared resources, and we're proud to say, joy. We believe the Partner Advisory Council, as the codified form of our current successful partner network, fulfills nearly all the core goals envisioned in the proposed commission ordinance, while avoiding legal or operational conflicts with the city's charter, department authority, or city budget capacity constraints. The network builds collective power, coordination among people and organizations who know our communities best. Through our monthly meetings, new collaborations are born, not in silos, but in shared rooms, shared values. These convenings have expanded what's possible: more culturally grounded programs, broader community reach, and stronger citywide impact. One powerful example, there's many, but I've chosen one to share with you all. The History Project and Ethos met through the network, through the actual coalition meeting. And they created Brewing Connections. an intergenerational storytelling space for LGBTQIA2S+ elders and youth from all across Boston, centering around trans and non-binary communities. We have also worked directly with our partner network and so many of you in collaboration. I'm proud to announce officially today, I'm not sure if Councilor Pepin is on this call, but thanks to joint support from MOLA, Streets, all of your individual advocacy, and our partner network, org, The Pride, Streets has installed a historic rainbow crosswalk. I think overnight, and I think it happened at like 2 a.m. To avoid traffic. A historic rainbow crosswalk at this Hyde Park intersection. This is the kind of collaboration that only happens when we're in relationship with each other. This partnership allowed our LGBTQ, trans, gender expansive elders to share their lived experiences with younger generations, and now are able to walk the walk across their new crosswalk. MOLA launched a comprehensive community survey with residents and partner organizations. The goal was to gather feedback on funding priorities, programming needs across our community. Survey results clearly identified the top priorities: housing, emergency services, and legal aid, particularly support for name and gender marker changes. In direct response to that, we prioritized these areas in our Beyond Pride grant fund, with 40%, over 40% of the funds going to housing, emergency assistance, and legal aid, and introduced the first of its kind, groundbreaking, historical legal support grant for individuals and families because of our partner network and hearing from our residents. This will aid residents in navigating legal systems, provide services surrounded and centered around trans and gender expansive residents, specifically calling the need for legal name and gender change markers, relationship protections, domestic violence support, and educational workshops, making processes more accessible to those who need it the most. Based on programming feedback that we heard from the partner network, we designed community programming that directly offers what they said they need: Know Your Rights education sessions in partnership with MCAD, MTPC, and additionally, our team met with our Intersex, Asexual Spectrum, Two-Spirit organizations across Boston to ask how they wanted to be reflected in our name, funding priorities, programming. As a result, we drafted, along with your help, the initial ordinance codifying our office and formally updated our name to reflect the full scope of the communities that we serve, who have historically been left out. In direct response to feedback at request of our partner network, amid a significant rise in reported discriminations, hate crimes, incidents targeting our community nationwide, we also launched 2 new resources for resident: an online LGBT+ resource directory and a discrimination handbook. The resource directory will better connect residents to housing, legal services, mental health care, educational resources, and residents will be able to search. This is in direct relation to the need we heard through our partner network. Also, we collaborated with Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, MCAD, and Northeastern University to create a new discrimination handbook. We heard loud and clear from the residents community through our partner network that they needed a guide, and they got a guide to help determine which agency to contact, understand eligibility criteria, and file complaints, making Boston a more inclusive city for residents and families. Our council brings over 100 LGBTQIA2S+ affirming organizations and institutions, residents, people who have a consistent structure for community-driven feedback and priority setting. It informs the direction of our grants, services, and public resources, and helps the city remain accountable and transparent in serving our LGBTQIA2S+ residents. It does all of this with open, flexible model that is already having impact without duplicating government functions or adding unnecessary bureaucracy. We understand that community members are looking for more ways to engage and have even more impact. We are here and legally authorized to meet that need. If the goal is to open up more opportunities for LGBTQIA2S+ organizations to provide feedback, not only to MOLA, but to other city departments, we are more than happy and welcome to facilitate that process. In closing, Partner Network builds collective power and coordination between all of the communities and orgs that know us best. It is a vital space for collaboration. We deeply value all folks listening today, all of our counselors' partnership, and welcome continued dialogue on how to strengthen this collaborative model while keeping it as effective, responsive, and community-centered as possible.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation. Just quick clarifying question. You had talked about the great work of the Partner Advisory Council. You had mentioned a line, I just want to make sure that I got all of it. You feel as though the Partner Advisory Council fulfills all of the goals of the original ordinance while avoiding legal and operational conflicts within the charter, city capacity constraints, and what were the other two points there? Just because I feel like this is the crux of the differences in what you all had produced yesterday. I just wanted to clarify that before we dive into council questions, and I will go directly to Council Mejia after this.
Absolutely. So we were talking about being able to inform, grant services, public resources, maintain accountability, being transparent, with an open, flexible model without duplicating government functions or adding unnecessary bureaucracy. And I'm happy to kind of go more in depth of the kind of differences between but I think we're going to get to that sort of next, but happy to kind of do that side-by-side comparison. We've also sort of done that to help all of us. We all want the same thing, and I think we're all aligned at the core, and so happy to kind of go through that.
Thank you, and thank you for your incredible work. You all are very busy, so we appreciate it, and thank you for everything you do for the City of Boston. Councilor Mejia, any questions, thoughts, or comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for that thorough presentation and overview of all of the amazing work that MOLA does. I'm just curious, just because you highlighted some issues around legal and the charter and having established so many commissions. Most of the work that I've done on the Boston City Council have been around commissions and boards and task force and, you know, all these different ways that really give the people a voice and an opportunity to hold us accountable. And I'm just curious if you all can just point me to some very specific charter legal nuances that you believe that what we're trying to do is not legally sound, because that was a not triggering, but that was a word that was like, wait a minute, I've established many commissions and task force in the city of Boston, some that have been paid and some that have not. So I understand the legalities because I've been there and done that. So I'm just curious, has there been a new law that has been put in place that I don't know about in regards to some of the hurdles that you foresee in what we have presented?
Oh, Juliana, if it's okay. No, okay, so this is more no, not a new law, nothing new in the charter, and I'll let the legal experts like point to any items that may come out of this conversation, but I think after 3.5 years of 7 different commissions, boards, task forces, I think MOLA wanted to try something different because they have seen that by like formalizing bodies through commissions, boards, etc., there are so many additional steps to take. That does take time away from the work that such a small staff has to do on a day-to-day basis. So it's less about we don't want to do a commission and more about all the work that's already happening with such a small staff, that adding a commission would just simply mean more steps, a lot more steps to get to a similar goal. So we're just trying something different, modeling after what the Youth Engagement and Advancement Office already does.
Yeah, no, thank you for that clarity, Chief. I think in the spirit of just being really transparent, especially because so many people are tuning in, I think that when people hear words like legal and, the charter, and it really creates a sentiment that what we've presented is not legally, submissible in the work that we're trying to do. So I just want to be really clear of that feedback. And I also want to be explicit that the reason why we are having this opportunity to go back and forth is because the coalition was really adamant about making sure that we're not watering down what real community oversight and engagement and accountability looks like. And so while I do appreciate that there is already a partner network and you already have a framework, that I think it takes away from the ability of a process in which maintains the integrity of the selection process. We go through a process where and we're not ready to go back and forth yet, but since this is a point that is a sticking point for a coalition, is that, the way your presentation, or at least from what we've gathered, is that the goal is that MOLA is the one that selects folks. Normally, under these circumstances, and especially to maintain the integrity of what we're trying to do, is that the nominations for the people who sit on these, even though you might think it's bureaucracy, what it does is it maintains the integrity of the community process. And I think that right now, given what is happening on the political landscape, community wants to be more engaged and they want as many opportunities to feel heard. And the best way that we do that in maintaining the integrity of these boards and commissions is by allowing us to have the formal process, which people make recommendations, then the council goes through their process, and then those names then get sent over to the mayor for review and selection and appointments. Like, we don't want to get rid of a standard that gives the body, particularly the city council, a voice and a authorization, and more importantly, community a real shot at, so people don't feel like we're handpicking who we want to be there. So that's going to be a sticking point for us and for the coalition members that we've spoken to. We really want to maintain the integrity of what this work is intended to do. So I just want to name that as something that was a red flag right off the bat, especially around the language, it being legal and, the charter and all that sort of stuff, because we did this based on other models. And so there's already precedence for this particular function in the way that we're trying to move.
Thank you, Councilman Mejia. Julian, do you want to respond?
Yeah, all great points, Counselor. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add just a point of clarification that our partner network application process is completely open. The only requirement is that you are serving LGBTQ2I plus people. So fully agree that wanting to be fully inclusive and open, and the sort of way that I'm walking through this and looking at all the different options that are ahead of us, we've actually heard pretty strongly through our community orgs. Again, I think that both of our orgs are all connected together, that it's all about inclusion and not exclusion, and not wanting a board of 13 or 7 people dictating the LGBTQIA2S plus youth, seniors, immigrants. So I think that and veterans, I just wanted to fully agree. We also want a more inclusive and open process. We are not hand selecting in any way. I just wanted to add a point of clarification, but all great, amazing points.
Thank you. And so I'll just say to that is that, and this is probably where my little chip on my shoulder comes from, and maybe it's my trauma working in this space, but for me, I always think about not everybody's part of an organization, not everybody's part of a affiliation or an institution, and I think that having this kind of like I'm not going to say gatekeeping, but having this sort of requisite that you have to be part of an organization already alienates a lot of people who don't feel seen or affirmed or part of something. And so I don't think that for me, I don't feel comfortable it just being partner organizations, because not everybody's part of the clique, right? And so I just want to name that many of the residents, we even had people who worked on the coalition that weren't part of any nonprofit organizations or part of any groups. These were just everyday regular people who are living the realities and wanted to plug into this. So like, I want to make sure that we maintain the integrity of what a community process looks like that does not alienate or prevent people from participating. And so I just want to name that will definitely be a sticking point for us in terms of making sure that we are being inclusive. And then the other piece of, and we haven't gone through the entire piece here, but the language around race, like we actually specified certain, demographics, and that was also stripped out of your version. And I'm just curious, it would just help us better understand why take out race and other demographic, indicators that help support us in making sure that we are being inclusive.
Can people hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I would say we are dedicated to be inclusive as possible. We are modeling this completely after OYA's model. We're wanting to be inclusive, open. We want to work within city charter. We want to be responsive and flexible. And we want to fully uplift our LGBTQIA 2S plus folks. We initially required that folks have some sort of an affiliation for safety reasons, but I think we were very much open to co-creating, making this fully open to all residents, especially those who have been historically marginalized or erased from queer culture.
So would there be any issues in including language and being explicit around race, ethnicity, disability, socioeconomic, gender, and other forms of diversity in, I'm just curious, that's such a critical part of the intersectionality. So is there a reason why that was removed?
Julianne, I want to just I'm not, Counselor, I don't really want to get into that. I feel like if you want to do line by line, let's do that. But all our departments are expected to work with everyone, and our mission is to work with historically and presently excluded communities such as the Black community. So let's not do that here.
So the thing is that my job is to make sure that the integrity of what the coalition put forth is still here. So if you're not going to put it there, there needs to be an understanding of why. And your presentation in terms of that's just across the board standard for the equity cabinet, that suffices, but people just need to hear that. I can't just go back to the people that I serve and just say, I don't know. So thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. And so that, even in the composition, and I'm going to just go back to this, I don't think that members need to be restricted to organizations. I want to just continue to amplify that is important. And then I'm just curious about the version of that you all have around the nomination process. I think the way we were envisioning it provided some more structure in terms of just kind of the oversight of the nominations, and it's felt a little bit more open. And so I'm just curious if there's a reason why we don't even have youth voices included in the coalition. That's something else that I know we wanted to explicitly state. And again, I'm going back to the fact that, this is what you believe to be, everybody just has the memo and everybody agrees that that's what it is. But for our sakes and intents and purposes, we want things in writing because that is the law and that is what people will be held accountable to. And so when we don't explicitly name it, we find ourselves in situations and then we have to fight other people. We want to include elders and we want to include young people because that's just what we do. And I know that you have done that. And continue to uplift, but we want to be clear about maintaining the integrity of the work that the coalition did for 2 months. And, these are some of the major sticking points for us. And, we're going to go line by line later, but those are just my immediate. And then I'm just curious why you all removed the case study. You know, the study really helps. Like, I'm modeling this after the Black Men and Boys Commission that we established. And, you know, that started off with a commission. Now it's a whole department with a budget of $1.8 million. Like, there has been lots of investments and there's been studies and they've been able to do work. So I'm just curious, why was the study also removed from your version? It doesn't give us a clear deliverable and things that we can measure and hold ourselves accountable to. So that would also be helpful to understand. And the reason why I'm trying to get this all in is because I know the chief has a hard stop at 3, and so many of these decisions get made, you know, with the chief. And so I just want to, it'll help me help my people understand where we're at, chiefs.
Absolutely.
Just really quick, Julianne, before you jump in. So, Councilor Mejia, I do want to be respectful of the other co-sponsors too. So, Julianne, please answer, and then I'm going to go to Councilor Santana and then Brereton. If we need a second round, we'll be sure to do that too. But I wanted to call that out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll try to be short and quick here. Absolutely open to co-creating. I'm so excited for it. Absolutely would love to get as much as we can in during the chief's time. So just wanting to go back to that we actually are preferring, because we're hearing from community that we do not want a nomination process. We just want people to be able to join. That's what we heard from community. If they are forced to go through a specific process for safety reasons and many other things, I don't think that it would be as open and inclusive. And then I just wanted to answer, we absolutely have youth that are active and engaged and part of the partner network, both youth serving and youth. We have both LGBTQ plus, specifically trans, non-binary seniors, part of the partner network as well as serving. And so, yeah, I'm all for studies. That makes my heart happy. There's a lack of SOJA data throughout the nation, including Massachusetts. And so we definitely would welcome that and welcome to continue to co-create, but 100% just wanted to do a cherry on top that we would love a study. We want to make it as easy as possible when it comes to red tape or safety reasons for our community to join and for their voices to be heard. And I would be cautious to say any type of bureaucracy or a nomination process would likely alienate the most marginalized and most underserved and underreached population. But I think we're all wanting the same things and happy to co-create. But I'll give it back to you, Councilor Sabetta.
And Councilor Caleta Zapata, I just want to note that Chastity, it also has a hard stop at 3, and she's, for some reason, she's not even promoted to a panelist. So can we just let her in first, please, before we go, just because I just learned that she has a hard stop.
Okay, yeah, and I apologize. I did not know that either. If Chastity is in, please feel free to elevate. And then I do want to get to our council colleagues. If Chastity does have a presentation or something to say, I really would like to provide our council colleagues the opportunity to also ask questions of the chief. And I apologize, I did not know that there was a hard stop, but
sorry about that.
Yeah, Chastity, if you have like a 2-minute.
She has a 7-minute. She's a panelist, but go ahead, Chastity.
Yeah, no, I know. Just 1 second. I would like to have, if Councilor Santana or Braden as the lead co-sponsors as well, if they have any questions for the chief before she goes, if you'd like to ask anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to yield my time to Chastity.
Okay, thank you. And then Councilor Braden?
I will also yield my time to Chastity. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Chastity, please feel free. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chastity Bullock. I use she, her pronouns. Thank you, counselors, for yielding your time to me. Briefly, I just want to say that the community coalition that came together worked very diligently and hard on this. We had an intense group session with a variety of identities and backgrounds to make sure that what we're putting in this document is not simply just words, it's actions that we, as the people who serve the people are going to take note on. And so I think that we have a lot more work to do. I don't see this moving forward for July 9th, which is fine because that's just a date and we are talking about our livelihood. And so I think that we're going to have to take the rest of the summer to continue having working groups amongst us because there have been a constant lack of communication amongst counselors, amongst the coalition and the counselors. And I think if we're going to move forward for the betterment of the communities that we all claim we want to serve, we need to get our stuff together. We need to make sure that we're on one accord with our communication and then sit down and work out the issues and come to a consensus of how can we merge these two documents together, because we submitted an ordinance that was 6 pages long, and we were also giving something that was 3 pages long. So there is a big discrepancy there of things that we're taking out or things that maybe y'all didn't understand the importance of it to the community. And like Councilor Mejia said, these are community members that are not part of organizations. They are the community members who are seeking services from some of these organizations. And so we want to make sure that we are really listening to them. So I think we need to regroup and figure out another time to have an additional hearing where we can put both of these ordinances up side by side and pick through each line until we get it right. And so I don't want to take up too much time. I just wanted to get those points across and hoping that we can move forward accordingly. Thank you, Councilor Zapata.
Thank you, Chastity, and thank you for your work and everything that you do. And that is the goal. I do believe that if folks are open to a longer timeline, that a working session is necessary on this. I did intend to have various summarized points this time around so that we all know what we're discussing about their work and talk about the differences and have our council colleagues ask those questions. I see Chief, if you have a point that you'd like to make, thank you.
I think Councilor Mejia.
Oh, I apologize. I did not see that.
Okay.
Councilor Mejia.
Yes, I before Chastity goes, I just wanted to thank her for her leadership in shepherding us through this process. And I just want to note for the record that and just want to be really clear about communication is that we received the administration and the mayor's counter proposal like less than 48 hours ago. So I think in true fashion, I was under the impression that all of the time that we took to meet with the chair and my council colleagues and the administration a month or two before, when we filed the ordinance, we were in a very different place. And so this is all very big a surprise to me. And I do agree, let's get this right. I don't want to rush the process. These are people's lives that we're talking about. But if we're going to talk about communication and we're going to talk about collaboration, then the communication needs to be two-sided and it needs to be timely if we're going to be set up for success. So I'm going to note for the record and ask publicly that I'm going to need the administration to send us communication in a timely fashion so the coalition and my council colleagues can react in ways that make sense. Otherwise, we're just going to keep spinning and kicking the can down the line, and then it comes November and October and we haven't done anything for the people. That I won't stand for.
Thank you. And Councilor Mejia, I have a quick question. Was MOLA included in the conversations with
Yes.
With the creation of this ordinance?
We met with MOLA and we went line by line and we got so much amazing feedback from them. And yes, we did all of that. That's why we filed it in April with the assumption that we were in a good place. And now 2 days before it's time for us to have this hearing, the whole thing blew up. So, this is all very surprising to me right now.
Okay, and that's helpful for me to know. We did get this version yesterday. So, and Chastity, you just put your hand up. Please go ahead.
Apologies. I just want to state regarding the communication, how we can make this better is Justice from Mola was attending some of the meetings, and I'm not sure what his role was in attending the meetings. Was he going to relay, what was going on or whatever the case may be? But I think that, Justice as a Black trans man should be more involved and can represent MOLA's side a little bit more on this coalition. And that will help alleviate some of the communication gaps, because I know, Julianne, your schedule, you can't come to the coalition meetings all the time. So maybe we can establish that and come up with a core line of communication.
Go ahead, Julianne.
so excited to co-create. I want to get the 40 people and the 100 people all together. I think there's so much room for some co-creation. Just to clarify, Justice was welcome to attend as Fitness for All Bodies in his other capacity, as we would want all of our team to engage in different community pieces. I think there was some miscommunication around getting approvals for our team to be officially involved or not. But either way, very much excited to co-create and get those two groups together, because the two groups are one group. We are them, they are us. And I want to kind of move together in love and in best intentions, and kind of go through that together under one umbrella, and to be able to publicly commit to that together, I think is so exciting and will help sort of move us forward together with that understanding that we are going to do everything as one. And yes, that means myself and Mola and the counselors, but specifically bringing that 40 and 100 people together, I think is a really great first next step.
Thank you. And I just want to thank Councilor Mejia as well. From what I'm hearing, there are a couple sticking points, and this is really helpful that we're getting this out there now. So it has to do around the nomination process, detailed indicators of various intersectional indicators is what I wrote down. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go through my notes. The removal of the case study, and I'm sure there's going to be more, but I'm taking diligent notes here. I would like to go to Councillor Santana for any questions he may have, and then Councillor Braden. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for sitting your time, Councillor Santana.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and again, thank you, Councillor Mejia, and thank you, Chastity, for your remarks. I think I definitely agree. I think maybe a working session where we can, I think put both ordinances next to each other and go line by line where it makes sense. And that's what I'm hearing from community and from the lead sponsor. So I'm in full support of that. And I think most of my questions, because I know that's coming ahead, I think most of my questions were around that. So I don't have any general questions. I think more of my comments and remarks is when we go line by line. So I'm looking forward to whenever that gets scheduled. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Burden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Councillor Santana. I think putting the documents side by side and going line by line and figuring out where we need to make changes, but also just to, and that's the process we do with most of these ordinances when we bring them forward. So just to put the documents side by side and try and figure out where the sticking points are and where we might be able to change things or come to some consensus that everyone can agree on.
Very well. And we do have Councillor Ben Weber here as well. Councillor Weber, you have the floor.
Yeah, just a quick question for the panel. In terms of like the Human Rights Commission, I know that's not really doing much, but is there some role, or is this should we just disband the Human Rights Commission? I mean, it seems like something that if we had a functioning Human Rights Commission, they would address. But any comments on that?
The current work of the Human Rights Commission that we're doing with external consultants is to help us understand how it can better weave the work of the other departments rather than a standalone office, which was how it was originally done. But unrelated to this particular topic, but it is supposed to be where we want to take it is in a way that it's actually working with other departments better, but it's different from this. Can I, Councillor, oh, sorry. I forget the order of these.
No, if you have a hard stop, if you have anything else you need to address, please feel free.
Just, if I may, just want to sort of share a little bit of what I'm hearing. I think, and thank you, Chastity, for clearly articulating sort of like where you all have been and you are, same with the council and for us. I understand that like the next best thing sounds like looking at both documents going line by line, but I'm sort of sitting here, and I just want to be transparent with this group. I'm sitting here with we just need to talk to one another because the only reason we even gave an ordinance is because we're being asked to do a commission, which is not a part of what we're thinking right now. And so I'd rather us use the capital and the resources that we have right now to like meet the needs in this moment. And so why not have our team with the Pioneer Network, with Equity, meet with the coalition and hear directly like what is happening, what is missing, what is being done that isn't being done effectively, rather than sort of doing this match. Because to be honest, like the reason you got Councilor Mejia the document 2 days ago is because it's not what we were expecting to do. It's not a part of the work that we're focused on right now. We're focused on people and the 200 plus calls we're getting on a weekly basis, right? About people not feeling safe. And so that's, if you all as a council obviously want to do this, that's perfectly fine. I feel like the better thing is to just like put groups together and have a real dialogue about what's missing. And then if an ordinance comes out, then an ordinance comes out.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of questions, and then Councilor Mejia, I will go to you. It is directly related to what Chief was saying. And Chief, I know that you have a hard stop. I'm so sorry. I do just want to ask, has anybody that you are in partnership with, a part of this partner network, have they talked about the very real need to have certain protections in place, to have an additional layer of oversight, which is what this is trying to do, and then also have a health study? And then my second question is, we talked about like having potentially an open process without an organization affiliation. I guess like what would that look like to you? And I'll keep it there and then go to Councilman here.
Yeah, open process without an organization sounds like just something that we could have just like talked about quickly and addressed. That's something that Julianne we can figure out quickly. On the health study, absolutely would love, and I know that Councilor Santana, we were able to get additional funding in our budget for FY26 from OLA, so maybe this is something that we look into and consider. I have never sort of had the direct ask about just like needing a commission, but I understand that is sort of a pathway forward from different bodies.
Julianne, you just raised your hand.
Yep, just to put a dot to that, we have not heard that feedback. We have heard that community organizations and residents need funds, need money, need supports. And the strong feedback we did hear is they do want feedback on grants, on how we're spending and how the office is spending money on prioritization, which we have implemented. But that was a strong thing that we did hear directly from community, that they wanted to provide direction, collaboration, specifically feedback on grants, and the need for low or no cost spaces to host events, things like that.
Okay, and then my last question is, you had talked about like the very precious time that you all have with the limited staff capacity. A commission, seeing that you've seen a couple of these come into creation over the last couple of years, can you quantify the level of commitment and time that something like this will take? Because it did seem like it was a major point of, or major bullet point in your opening remarks about how this could increase bureaucratic processes within your cabinet.
As a chief with 7, I can speak to, we need a full-time staff to do this correctly, because we are not, if you're looking for someone to just do a blank, a low quality job, it's not going to happen. We are going to do our best. So we're going to need full-time staff, which we are not in a position as an administration currently to be adding body count to departments. I think the other thing that people don't consider is because of open meeting law, there's a lot of additional things that we have to teach ourselves and teach our staff about, teach our community about, that is irrelevant to the work that we're trying to do, which is why, again, the MOLA Partner Network was an attempt to do things a little bit differently from the other commissions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with commissions, task forces, we're getting a lot of work done with the other ones too. It's just, in this moment, everyone knows that the most important thing is the resident. And so I'd rather save our staff time to work directly with residents and meet those needs.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Mejia, if you have any questions to direct directly to the chief, and then we have to.
I'm going to yield my
let her go.
time to Elizabeth, who is one of our panelists and also has a hard stop. So Elizabeth is jumping in because one of our other panelists wasn't able to. So Elizabeth, I'm going to yield my time to you.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you all. My name is Elizabeth Good. I use she, her pronouns. I'm really grateful to be here and for this discussion. So I'm going to read some notes that I prepared, which may sound a bit redundant based on the conversation to date, but I think it's important to understand kind of how we got here and the criticality of like the future forward nature of the coalition work. So I was born and raised in South Boston. I currently live in JP. I'm a product of BPS. I'm a new parent, and I'm a proud queer Bostonian. So when I first joined the coalition that Councilor Mejia put together, I had no idea what to expect. I'd just come back to work. I was trying to figure out a new normal and thought it would be like maybe an interesting way to tap into the world of local government after some time away. And I really couldn't have fathomed the intentional and incredible work that the group would accomplish in such a short time. I also couldn't really have fathomed like the humility and empathy and bravery of the fellow coalition members. I think as folks from MOLA can attest, it can be really cruel work to fight for the worth and your worth and the worth of those dearest to you. It's exhausting to come to the table time and again for support, for recognition, for rights, and to always have to ask for it reactively. And I really hope that my child can live in a world where LGBTQIA2S+ folks in Boston, their needs are considered as a foundational part of future programming and legislation rather than an afterthought. And I really believe that the commission that this coalition has set forth and has proposed could do just that. I would be remiss not to mention that talking about this on the 10th anniversary of Obergefell v. Hodges feels really important. 10 years ago, I think we all thought these conversations were put to bed. And today, there couldn't be shakier ground that these rights rest on. It's my deepest hope that the creation and the work that this commission can and will do can solidify a future forward foundation for queer people in the city of Boston, not just to survive, but to thrive. And I think additionally, this has been an important thread throughout this conversation, but I come to this meeting and sit in this coalition as a community member, in my capacity as a community member. I'm not part of a broader organization, though I deeply respect the work they do. I'm not an expert, though they've certainly been invaluable to the shaping the path to this hearing. And no one pays me for my time, though I believe that equitable pay is critical to successful movements. This experience has exposed me to so many people working to uplift queer voices in Boston and across the Commonwealth. And I think it's shown that any future version of this commission has to reflect both the individual and the organization, as well as the intersectionality of queer community, including young people, disabled folks, our elders, queer trans people of color, and beyond. This body should center all queer bodies from all corners of the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Oops, sorry, I forget. I am not the facilitator, but I knew I was on deck to speak, so I'll let the madam let me know when I can speak.
I appreciate it. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you. See, I'm still learning how to be in this construct, y'all. My apologies. Even it's been 6 years. I'm hard to tame. That's why they're trying to get rid of me. No, sir. Elizabeth, just curious, you've heard from the administration that there hasn't been a call for something like this. I think that when we gathered, it was really around the urgency of feeling protected, of feeling a sense of wanting more accountability, and a pathway for that type of voice to kind of feel safe and affirmed. And so I'm just curious, and I'm sure it all depends on who you're speaking to. You're going to hear different things, but can you just speak to the urgency in terms of like all the folks that gathered, those 40 plus folks?
Yeah, of course. I think that the coalition, again, was really centered around that kind of fear-based urgency. And you know, there are many corners of the city who have different perspectives, different connections, different access to how and why this work gets done. And so I so respect, Chief, what you've been saying about like bringing everyone together and making sure there's a clear understanding of the puts and takes of how the work gets done. But I also think that there is, again, and I may be beating a dead horse here, there's this reactive opportunity, I guess I would say, to help people see like, what is this going to look like going forward? How are we going to build, expand, sustain the safety net that I think the city has laid the groundwork for, but maybe folks don't understand how to access, how to connect to, and how to build community around. And so, to me, like this commission, it works in tandem, it works in concert, it works in collaboration with all the great work that MOLA is doing. And again, I think there is an opportunity to get everyone in the same room and really understand kind of the roles and responsibilities and how they all play out. But I do see this as being a distinct and necessary body. And I think that was what we heard and what I kind of feel the need to share based on those many coalition meetings we had, is it's not to say that great work isn't being done. It's just, how do we make sure, and I know that the codification of MOLA is part and parcel of this, right, long term, but I think we're seeing the fear that comes when things we thought were secured are no longer secured. And so how do we settle and mitigate those fears, channel that energy, harness that energy into future forward action, legislation, etc.
Thank you. Julianne, you have your hand up.
Yeah, happy to respond. I also wanted to flag that I have someone from the community who's been lovely and has a hard 3:30 out. I'm happy to share the name, but I just wanted to flag, and she had requested through MOLA that she had a hard out. So not sure if that's a possibility or not, but just wanted to flag that. I would say simply thank you so much for your testimony. Hold on, I'm trying to see your face because I like eye contact. Okay, and we're ready to co-create. We're ready to talk about doing the actual work. Excited for the 40 and the 100 people who I'm pretty sure are around the same people, can go line by line and actually move this forward. I just wanted to say thank you so much for that, for all of the collaboration partners as well as the partner network. Everyone is brave. It is really scary right now, and anyone who is in an advocacy spot or leaning on a neighbor or leaning on a local organization to push their voice forward because they are not in a place that they're able to, I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, this was the space for the admin. I did not anticipate having advocates. The back and forth, although I don't think that it's a bad thing and I welcome it. The public testimony will happen. I do want to acknowledge that we still have our council colleagues. Some have said that they are waiting for the side-by-side. Council Weber, I feel like we moved quickly through any other questions and really want to direct it to the administration since this is that portion of the
hearing. Yeah, no, thanks. I just glad to hear from everyone here and look forward to working on the ordinance.
Okay, excellent. Do we feel comfortable moving to, I believe we also have Mickey Jones and Milan, and I say your name, Ron, Casimir. We can just switch directly to their testimony.
Wait, Chair, I have a question. It's a process question.
Okay, go ahead.
You're talking about transitioning, because my hope is that this is a public hearing, and normally what happens is that the administration stays. And I know Kimberly Pardamola worked with our office back in April, and I'm not sure if they were authorized to do so, but we met and we went through this together. So I'm a little bit, I need some clarity around kind of like the going back and the co-creation, because we were under the impression from a communication standpoint that MOLA understood the direction that we were moving in alongside, because we've got feedback from Kimberly and actually received some guidance from Kimberly from other municipalities that were doing this work. So I just want to be really clear for the record as we transition to the community panel is that we are not, I'm a fan of making sure that everybody's at the table, but we've been doing this since February and we've been at the table with everybody. So what I am a little bit wary of is that whenever there is and I'm just going to name it because that's just what I do. Whenever there's a tug and push and pull between the city council and the admin, normally what ends up happening is that we get bogged down with tools that get used to slow things down. And I just want to just be really clear in the interest of making sure that everybody who's paying attention, that we have been at this since February with community and MOLA and the city council and the chair. And so as we continue to move forward, it should be centered on not whether or not the administration wants this or was prepared to do this, because we had already signaled to you all back in February that this is the direction that we were moving in, that this should come to no surprise that this council, regardless of whether or not it dies, because people don't vote for it, because people just don't have the will to want to bring it home for the folks, I am committed to making sure that the coalition that I worked with and worked in partnership with MOLA to get this to the best place that everybody feels seen, affirmed, and heard, and that what we present whenever we identify dates and times for all of this work that we are going to be doing together gets done. I will be digging my heels on things that I've been here before. I know what policy making looks like in this current political climate that I'm in. And I just want to name for those folks who are tuning in, before the administration goes, I need some assurance that this is going to be, something that we honor and that we, put time and schedule and real commitments to. And I need to hear that. I need to hear that. Regardless of whether or not you were ready to do this work, and I said this to you, Julianne, that when we established the Black Men and Boys Commission, we worked on making sure that came with a budget at one point. I think it was $1 million at that point, and now it's 1.8 million. I am going to make sure that if we are pushing for something, that we're also going to push for the resources that you need to make it happen. And so that is the commitment that I'm making on our end through the budgeting process. So I don't ever want the work to be delayed because we don't think that we can meet the moment. We need to figure out how we meet the moment and then do everything in our power to give you the tools to execute. So
thank you.
Thank
you for your leadership and just everybody that was involved in the process of creating this document that was originally produced. And at least for me, for chair, as I mentioned yesterday, it's always important to have legislation that is truly effective. And this is the process, right? We need to be able, and we need to have a collaborative process where everybody's at the table and we're talking through the realities of how city government operates and the very real impact, so that the legislation that we do produce is really effective, it's durable, and but it's rooted in community feedback. That's always my goal. That always has been my goal. I have had things go through the Committee of Government Operations, even when I wasn't chair, where it had to get changed and there were things that had to get moved around. And overall, what I'm hearing from MOLA is that there is I keep hearing co-create. Now, I don't know who was involved and why and whatever. I'm focused in on today, and I understand that there is a desire to move forward in a way that ultimately helps and uplifts and protects the LGBTQIA2S+ community. And so I think I want to focus in on that. I do want to provide space, because we do have them on, Mickey and Milan, if they are here, please be elevated, and would love to hear from you as well, because we have heard from Chastity and Elizabeth. And the more that we hear from folks who have been involved in this work, the more educated I can be, because I was not involved in these conversations, except we did have a meeting where we discussed it generally, and would like to, and I still really believe in this particular docket or the work that it can do. So would like to have Mickey or Milan elevated. And Chief, I see that your hand is raised.
Only because I cannot keep pushing my 3 p.m. I do have to step out. Truly apologize. I just want to sort of close the loop here on January 20th. Our work significantly changed. And so a year ago, I definitely would have been in a very different space, counselor, of like, yeah, let's do this. Like right now, I've made it very clear to our department heads that the focus is residents, day to day, meet the need. And so I understand why we were proposing this as we propose for other departments, but what we are proposing back is what we have the capacity to do in this moment, given that the next 3.5 years are going to continue to keep us distracted. And so I just want to sort of close the loop here that this is not an anti-transparency, anything. Like, this is just a matter of what we have in front of us in this moment, without losing sight of what we're trying to build, which is a home for everyone. And so with that, I'll run away. But please, Julianne, let's make sure that we do connect with the coalition, and I need to be in that conversation too.
Thank you, Chief. And we will have members of your team on for additional dialogue. Councilman Mejia, was your hand up from earlier? Or is that a new hand raised? Okay. Okay, thank you, Chief. We still have Julianne and team on. Excuse me. Have we been joined by Mickey Jones as a panelist? I'm not sure if they're on, as well as Milan, Casimir. I don't see them.
Hello.
Hi, can you just please identify yourself and state your name?
So hi, my name is Mickey Jones.
Great. Please go ahead, you have the floor.
So I'm sorry, I was in attendance. I just didn't know how to join in as far as being vocal. But hi, my name is Mickey Jones, and I'm a current resident in Dorchester of Boston. I've literally been a Boston resident since 2016. I currently moved here from Alabama. I currently have no family or anything like that up here. So as far as like being into the community was the only thing that I knew of. So I just basically wanted to give my testimony as being a person of these things that are being provided for us. As far as being homeless before, as far as needing advocacy for IDs, documents, as far as giving my testimony as how the community and different organizations, not just one organization as a whole, but different organizations all together, and how they have helped me succeed. They've helped me maintain housing and great living situation as far as being in shelters to get back on my feet and to do things like that. Also, I just want to give a testimony to the work that I see done and how I help other girls girls and people, trans people of color, as far as them being helped and having knowledge to know that they can go these places, as far as employment, as far as to get help, as far as to get resources so that they could prosper in the city and live normally. To prove to them that Boston is sanctioned for the LGBTQIA2S plus. I most definitely think that these things that are coming to pass are most definitely needed. It's such an urgency for things as far as the community and needs and things like that, but for protection and safety and being reassured that they're gonna be okay. I most definitely think that these things are very super important. As far as the timeline and things like that, I know that there are things that needs to be done and need to be done correctly, but in agreement with the people that spoke before for me. I don't really think I have a foot to say too much, but as far as me giving a testimony to being a person of this work and helping in this work, I do most definitely see the urgentness and the immediacy for the action that needs to be done for these things to be passed. Because as of now, life is very, very realistic. And understanding that these things for us as a people in the community as a whole, no matter what race you is, no matter how you identify, no matter what class you're in, like for you to have safety and to know that you could live in a place, being Boston as a whole, that is really what I'm testifying to. I am a witness of that. I am a firm believer in that. I am a very successful person in my trade and occupation behind being sanctioned in Boston, Massachusetts. I don't think that I could have achieved or be the person that I am anywhere else with confidence like I have and being in the field that I am in. So with that being said, I most definitely wanted to testify to the fact that these things are in an urgency, but they are also working. Like they're really working. These things are really doing what they're supposed to do. So that's what I wanted to testify to.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, and thank you for your testimony, Mickey. Okay, I think because we don't see Milan, who was designated as an advocate, and we've lost Chastity. I think we've also lost Elizabeth Good, and we've lost the chief. I'm wondering if it does make sense. We have a general document where there were, based on various sections from the original proposal and the counter proposal that I received yesterday, just let folks know, I received yesterday. We had put it together to review, although I don't have, I don't know, Council Mejia and other sponsors, what your feelings are. We do have a long list of folks that are signed up for public testimony. Given that we are going to do a working session, I'm getting a temperature check here of whether or not we want to go through that particular document or if that's something that we want to wait for the working session.
Yeah. Are you asking me now? Could I, is
Yeah.
that a patient to speak? Okay, great, thank you. And yeah, so I think in the spirit of just really meeting the moment, and because this, and we haven't heard from Kimberly yet, and I know that Kimberly was part of our, feedback loop. Not sure if the policy team from MOLA is able to speak or we're able to hear from them, but if not, then I'm fine to move on from okay, I see Kimberly, yes, okay. And then you were so instrumental in the sessions that you met, and I just want to give a shout out to JD from my team who worked incredibly hard with y'all on this situation. That's right, you better give JD his props. And so before we move on to the public testimony, I just would love to hear from Kimberly in terms of just kind of like your read in terms of just, you sat with us and you worked through this document with us, and we want to make sure that, your voice is also uplifted and that we understand that we are in a moment of like uncertainty, and we want to make sure that you as the policy, lead, and you've been doing work with other cities and states, that I think that I'd love to hear from you in terms of kind of like what you think before we move on to public testimony, so that we can wrap this up in ways that for me feel more affirming, because you were our thought leader in the MOLA team there.
Kimberly, you have the floor, and I apologize for earlier as well. Well, if you have anything else to say too, like this is okay.
I'm gonna keep it so short, like incredible. Can you mute me? Sorry, we're small office. So first off, I just want to thank JD again and reiterate what Councilor Mejia said. JD was so incredibly responsive to so many of my comments and really dug into doing some of the research on some of my flags, some of which are more like law focused. And so I just really want to uplift like the hard work that person put into this, and also Councilor Mejia. I do also want to say mea culpa, like I jumped into doing edits. That's how my brain is. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to help. I want to do whatever I can. And unfortunately, in between the time that I made edits and then when I got additional feedback Julian's father passed away. And so I was not able to get official sign off on moving this forward. And that is on me. And I do apologize on behalf of, myself, but also our office and how things sort of got messy here. As far as where we are today, because I agree with Councilor Coletta Zapata, like we're here now. We want to do the work. I know we keep throwing around the word co-create, but I think what we really mean is collaborate. Like this should be like, I wanted, if it was up to me, I wish we could get in a room together, all together, and put something big on the screen and literally go line by line and red line everything out of it that we don't want and keep in everything green that we do and just work together to get this across the finish line. I think that something that I just want to uplift in the last part of what I have to say, I feel so lucky that the conversation we're having here in Boston is not, do we support LGBTQIA2S plus people, but how? Like we care so much that we're disagreeing. And I just want to say, like, you only fight when you love. And I just want to say thank you so much for everyone here for loving big, even if we are disagreeing. I think that's actually powerful.
Thank you for reminding us of that. We are very
I think you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for reminding us of that, Kimberly. It's really important and to center us in our shared values. Councilor Mejia, I see you've unmuted.
Oh, Lord, and I'm sorry about that. I was just geeking off of the love here, and I am excited for yes, that's right, Julianne, I see you. I'm just excited about where we go from here, and I think that everybody's paying attention to us and how we move together. And more importantly for me, as a community organizer, I'm always going to take the posture of like, we've been here, we've done it, we're ready to go. And now folks are looking to us to take this to the finish line. So it's not a matter of co-creating. Now it's just about tweaking and scaffolding because we've already done, it's been 6 months. I'm not going to make my people wait any longer, which I have to now, but we're going to do what we need to do because we don't want to create an unintended consequence for y'all either. But patience is running. So let's get to the community testimony. And then I think that I really want to make sure that we host like maybe 3 or 4 working sessions between now and September so that the goal for October and November that I think that we talked with the chair of the coalition, if not for trans visibility, which was the goal for July, that the next date would be October or November. I think it's October or November. So I'm holding myself to that. And I'm going to hold my colleagues to that. And regardless of whether or not the administration wants it, because at this point, I have to lead with the people, we're going to put forth what the people have asked for. And if that is what makes it to the finish line, great. And if it doesn't, at least the people feel affirmed because they put their best foot forward for what they wanted, not what they settled for. So I just want to dig my heels on that. And I appreciate you and Councilor Coletta Zapata for allowing me to rant. And I will be quiet because we got people's voices to hear. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it is my goal throughout that process to maximize everybody's best ideas. And I think, again, we all have some shared goals here. And I really look forward to getting there. And this process is usually never easy as chair. Usually people have to compromise on things that they don't want to compromise. And it is not to say that we don't want to fight for the community. We also have to work within various realities and all of that. But my goal is to maximize everyone's work here, their existing work, and then also where we see the city going to really protect and support folks in this community. All right, so we will go to our public testimony. We have about 7 folks signed up for testimony. So I will start with Crystal Delgado. If you are in the Zoom, to please raise your hand. I see Crystal, and then after that we will go to Giselle Bird, and then Javon Williams. But I do have Casey Abbott, Sean Nelson, Gabby Morgan, and then Curtis Santos. But we'll start with Crystal, Giselle, and Javon. Crystal, if you are a panelist, you have the Zoom. I think we still have to elevate. There we go. If you can state your name and affiliation, if you have one. You have 2 minutes, and I will be timing. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Crystal Delgado. My affiliation is I am a local business owner, founder of Embracing Your Journey. I support the BIPOC queer community and women with creating safe spaces and events. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to submit my written testimony, well, now in person, in support of docket 0969. So I wanted to state that I'm a proud Latina queer woman born and raised in Massachusetts, and I publicly came out for the first time this Pride Month. That was not an easy decision given the climate that we've been living in, and I cannot ignore the fear that so many of us carry, especially in this current political climate. I have witnessed firsthand how organizations doing the critical work in our community are constantly met with hate, with protests, and with pushback locally and nationally, but still we persist. I use my platform personally to advocate for love, dignity, and the most vulnerable among us. I believe deeply in building these spaces where people are not just tolerated, but they are embraced. And that requires structural support and commissions like this one to ensure our rights and safety are not treated as optional, but they're protected. So Boston is often seen as progressive, but without those intentional systems of accountability, equity, and community voice, we will fall backwards. My people, Black, brown, queer, trans, and gender diverse people deserve to walk through the city without fear. We are more than our identities, and we care for others and contribute to the city in every possible way, and we deserve to be protected in return. I strongly urge you to pass this ordinance and to stand on the right side of history. Our communities are watching, and we are asking not for charity, but for justice. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Crystal. That was incredible. And thank you for your vulnerability and your courage here today. We'll go to Giselle and then Javon.
Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. I don't see Giselle, but we do have Javon Williams here. Javon, you have the floor. We'll come back to Giselle if they are elevated to panelist. Please go ahead.
Pleasant afternoon to everybody under the sound of my voice. Let me first say pleasant good evening to Madam Chair, to all those in their various ranks and offices, all those who consider themselves under the umbrella of hope and faith and the promise of a better day. Let me first say pleasant good evening. I think that greetings are always in order. Please excuse me, this is my first time testifying. I am Javon Williams. I have been a youth fellow for the Mayor's Office of LGBTQIA2S+ Advancement for a hot minute now. And I think that I consider myself to be very fortunate coming from someone who was alone in running a small GSA in high school. And having this opportunity fall into my lap, I think what I like is that I was placed into an environment that wasn't stagnant. I was placed into an environment that was ever shifting and ever growing, and it wanted to move forward. And I think that I can speak to, I don't like to say that I don't like to speak on things that I don't know, but I want to speak to the youth piece because I know that that is where I stand in my initiatives and in the Amplify GSA initiative. The MOLA community or the MOLA office has been very responsive to the community. I can talk about SULI, the state of our LGBTQ+ youth. I can talk about the partner network. I can talk about, again, the Amplify GSA initiative that I fall under, where I have been working with MOLA to speak with GSA advisors and get them connected with each other to share best practices, not just best practices, but also issues, because I believe that when we talk about community, we talk about sharing blessings and burdens to make ourselves uplifted. And so with my few words, I just want to say that the MOLA office has met me with complete immersion, not just to, not just to place myself in front of the issue or place myself in front of all these things that are before me in these political climates, but also immersing myself in it, also overwhelmingly with it, in the sense that, please excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm very shaky, but in the sense that I am not just seeing things and saying, well, what is the solution? But I'm also seeing potential solutions. I am also getting communities together, organizations. I am being faced with meeting people who have this idea. And if we don't have the direct solution, or if I don't have the direct solution, I can get in touch with people that do. So those are my very few words. I just think that the MOLA office has done such great work so far. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Javon. That was incredible. And right on time, that was 2 minutes. Okay, do we have Casey Abbott in the Zoom?
Unfortunately, she had to step away, but she did submit her testimony. She had asked if the MOLA office could read it, but I think that you all would probably have received that, and that's fine.
Thank you, Julianne. And for all my colleagues, there is a folder in which we received written. And Gabby Morgan, you have 2 minutes.
I can't hear anything. I'm not sure if anybody else could. I just want to make note. Okay, nobody else could? Okay, I just want to make sure that I was listening, but I couldn't hear anything.
Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can we elevate Sean Nelson and then Gabby Morgan? Okay. Sean, you have the floor for 2 minutes.
Okay, I just learned about this meeting at the very last second. I've noticed that when it comes to these certain meetings, only certain people are aware of it, not the actual public. Because you only have 7 people here, and even I had difficulty getting access to this Zoom meeting. I don't believe you need a commission. We don't need a commission for every group of people that's out there. Just like Ben Weber said, you have a human rights commission that can bring these issues up when there's actually a problem going on in these communities. As someone who is born and raised in Boston, openly gay, I think the problem we have is this council and the mayor pretending that they actually care about the people. You only care about the people who side with you, and you pander. I've written all these counselors and the mayor and Congress about the actions of Michelle Wu having an enemies list, and it has 4 gay people on there, and all they use their voice. I didn't see any of the council standing up for Sheena Cantone, a police officer for 13 years, against her own body when she was wrongfully fired. I wrote the council about my wrongful arrest the first day of gay pride at the Dorchester Day Parade with Jordan Peener, also a gay man of the gay community, born and raised in Boston. None of you came back and talked about what happened to us. The first day of gay pride, you did nothing. The LGBT office, I've actually contacted you through social media about her actions and calling out other people who are gay, who stand up against her bad policies. No one reached out and even said a thing. This is all political theater and fear-mongering. And even worse, when I confronted Michelle Wu at a forum, she made me, a Black gay man, her constituent, look like I'm a criminal and unhinged. This is just political theater. This is nothing more than fear-mongering. I believe these organizations are doing well, but they don't need the help of the government, because you don't really actually help anybody. It's political theater. But yet, when someone like myself, who's gay, who doesn't go along with the Democratic Party, you ignore me, you shame me. I've been arrested by Michelle Wu multiple times. And when she gets confronted, she plays victim. I do believe that gay people have a problem, but the problem is you only pay attention to the radical left fear-mongering and a lot of these issues. There's another movement going on in the gay community, LGBT. All the T's, the Q's, and all that extra stuff is being removed because you don't actually widely represent us.
Thank you, Sean. Gabby Morgan, please feel free to unmute yourself, and you have the floor for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Gabby Morgan, she, her. I live in Jamaica Plain, and it's great to talk with the city council. City Hall is important to me. When I was about 9, 10 years old, I actually broke ground for that building with Mayor Collins in a picture. And in 2016, I came out. I was almost 60 years old, and my first time introducing Gabby to the world during the daytime was at City Hall for the first time raising the transgender flag. So it's a very important place for me. The reason I didn't come out till I was 60 is because even in Boston, I'm talking many, many years ago, you'd be terrified to do something like that. There weren't systems in place. There weren't people to talk to. There weren't protections. I went to the oldest school, public school in the country. It was all boys at the time, or so they thought anyway. I surprised them at the 50-year reunion last year. But it's important, when I did come out at almost 60, I knew that I had to work with the community. And Boston was very, I can't say it was easier than it used to be, but it was less hard. And I was so happy to be able to jump into everything. I worked with Speak Out, the organization. I worked with 6.5 years with Fenway Health, mostly working with trans older adults, which I still do a little bit. And the last year I've had the opportunity, I'm now the operations director of the Transgender Emergency Fund. And I learned what the word emergency meant, because we get to do so many things. We try to do so many things for people that really need the help right now. Because when I talk about a less easy time 50 years ago, we're almost getting back to that really scary time again, and that's upsetting. We've been around since 2008, our organization, and we've gone through a couple of leadership changes. It's been tough. I hit a few valleys that we're digging out of, and it's tough because there's only so many funds to go around. We do transitional housing. We can have up to 8 people, and we try to help transgender people in need. And it isn't a certain age. It isn't a certain color. We have Black people, brown people, people from all over. Since in the year I've been there, age 21 to 51. And we just try to be there. The funds have been tight, and because people are afraid. So it's just important that we keep these protections in place so that transgender people have a bit of safety and not always looking over their shoulder. So I'm just so grateful for platforms like this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby, and thank you for your work with the emergency fund. Okay, is Curtis Santos? Curtis Santos is the last individual that I have signed up for public testimony. I'm not sure that they're on, though. Okay, I think that that may conclude our public testimony portion. I do want to thank everybody. Let me get on camera. I do want to thank everybody so much for their time and thank the co-sponsors for their work. I will provide space for any closing remarks that they may have, starting with Councillor Mejia and then Councillor Santana, who I believe is still on, and Councillor Braden sends her regrets. There was something that popped up, but she wanted me to say that. Councillor Mejia?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for accommodating this expedited hearing. We were up against a wish of a expedited process, but are more than willing to manage our expectations given the political climate that we are in and just the world today. I'll pick and choose my battles, and so really do appreciate the administration for showing up and for providing some guidance and your willingness to understand the moment that we are operating under and the urgency that our community is asking us to move ahead with. And while I appreciate the idea that we're all about meeting the moment, having worked out in these streets, I know that sometimes not everyone feels like the moment is meeting them. And so for us, it's really important to have a way for us to have a governing body, if you will, that can help MOLA really make sure that we're being accountable. And it's not just MOLA, but it's every city department. Like this whole idea about the study, really, we believe it's a tool that you all can use for policymaking in the future and for budgeting purposes. I think that it is a tool that we hope that you will find useful, and having a hearing on the proposals that come forth and the audit that we are hoping that the committee could do is part of that work. So I'm hoping that you don't see this as a burden, but that you see it as another thought partner that can help you. And I'm looking forward to leaning in and working with the chair, more importantly, because we know that there's so much competing, scheduling difficulties, but I wanted to ask the chair that when we transition into a working session, normally those working sessions are just for administration and counselors. And I just want to advocate, Councilor Chair Coletta Zapata, that I would like at the very least to have the chair of the coalition as a community member participate in the working sessions, just because for us, in terms of the integrity of the work that we're trying to do, we want to be deeply rooted in the people. And so I just ask that, I know in other chairmanships, we've had the opportunity to bring our thought leaders into our policy-making working sessions because we lead with the people who are living the realities and or doing the work. And so that has been something that we've been able to do in the past, but I'm not sure, given, everyone does things differently. I was flagged that, regular day folks don't participate in working sessions. And so I want to hear from you and what your feedback is on that.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely consider it. I think in the past, we have. I would want to make sure that. I don't see an issue with it at this moment in time, but I always like to just do my due diligence. I don't. Who is the chair of the committee again? I'm sorry.
So the chair was, when I worked with Councilor Edwards, she allowed the folks.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, the chair of the committee.
Oh, okay. I was going to tell you all the different times that I've been able to, I've been here 20 times. But it was, it's Chastity is the chair of the coalition.
Okay, I certainly, I don't, there's been so much work that's been done. And it would be directed to be productive and go line by line. I certainly don't have any issue with that. So I appreciate the question, and we can go from there once we have a date scheduled for the working session, for the first working session.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay. Councilor Santana, if you have any closing statements.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you everyone for this hearing. I think although there's a lot of work to be done, and I think working sessions, I'm glad that we were all able to convene and communicate today, which is very good. And just really want to thank you, Madam Chair, for convening us. I want to thank the MOLA team for all the work that you all do from the top down. I want to thank again the lead sponsor, Councilor Mejia. And my co-sponsor, also Councilor Braden, and their teams. And again, most importantly, is we want to thank the residents and the organizations who got us to this place, and the people who came and testified. Looking forward to doing this work. I really care about this community. I want to make sure that the protections are in place so that way Boston can be, again, a city for everyone, not to just stay here, but to thrive here and to feel safe. So, just really appreciate this, and looking forward to the work ahead. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Santana. And I would be remiss if I didn't highlight the fact that today is I think somebody mentioned it, but it's the 10th anniversary of Obergefell, I don't say that right, versus Hodge. I was actually an intern in DC at the time, and I had to leave. I left a day before it happened, but being there in the midst of the crowd and having that happen was just so profound to me as a young person, and understanding what is possible in this country when we are truly inclusive of folks that are our neighbors, that are our sisters, brothers, cousins, friends, all of that. 10 years later, I know that there are forces that are actively trying to dismantle the work that we're doing. And I think it is incredible that we are here as a city council, doing our best to fortify the progress that we've made and protect folks. And so I saw that beautiful, hopeful future 10 years ago, and I'm still hopeful for that future for future generations. So I want to thank everybody for their time and for their feedback. We will be having a working session on this, but I do look forward to that happening in the near future. And with that, this hearing on docket 0696 is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Sorry. Thank you. I heard something. Not sure if anybody else did, but bye.